Hey everyone, welcome to the Pangburn Hangout. Today's conversation is going to be between a Russian Putin supporter and a Ukrainian who's currently living in the Ukraine. We're going to be getting started in 30 minutes. For anyone who's coming to this stream after it's published, remember to drop a like, drop a comment. Let us know what you thought about the discussion. But again, we are going to be having a pro-Russian Russian who's living in Russia, having a conversation with a Ukrainian who's currently living in the Ukraine. So two countries at war. Make sure you drop a like when you get in. We are going to be starting in a half hour. I wanted to get this stream rolling on YouTube. We are going to be live on call-in. If you want to have an opportunity to call in and speak with a Russian Putin supporter or a Ukrainian who is very much in support of resisting the Russian advance in this war, please join us on call-in. I'm going to give you guys the link. Make sure you guys drop a like when you get into the room. This conversation will be getting started in 30 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to spin some tunage, brought to you by yours truly. If you want to be able to listen to my music whenever you want, here's my SoundCloud.
I remember the days when someone could be wrong. I remember the days when thinking out loud won't get you shot down. I remember the ways we used to call out, hey, hey, hey. So don't forget to call on me to disagree. So don't forget to call on me to disagree. You now reduce them to the evil you once agreed. You now reduce them to be silenced you once agreed. So don't forget to call on me to disagree. So don't forget to call on me, yeah, to disagree. Your ship is sailing on. I see you on the horizon. Your ship is sailing on. I see you sailing on the horizon. Call on me when you wanna disagree. Please call on me when you wanna disagree. You now reduce them to be silenced. You once agreed. You and I are predetermined nonsense, and that's okay. You and I have predetermined consequence, and that's okay. And that's okay. You and I are locked into our destiny, and that's okay. And that's okay. You gotta know what you want. You gotta know what you want. You gotta know what you want. Look out. You gotta know what you want. Look out. You gotta know what you want. You gotta know what you want. Our predetermined nonsense have predetermined consequence. You and I, that's okay. You and I, predetermined nonsense. Look out, you gotta know that's okay. You gotta know what you want, you gotta do it. You and I are locked into our destiny, and that's okay. And that's okay. Nothing seems to go right. Melodies don't sound right, it's true. Days disappear, shadows remain plainly clear. The door opens, and the fizzing in my beer slows. The door opens as it slows. I see a shade of something moving like a blanket in the wind. A pretty little blanket, perfect to heal me in the end. The door opens, and the fizzing in my beer slows. She walks by, and the spinning in my head grows. The door opens as it slows. I wish that I was pretty, more pretty than reflections look tonight. But I'm past the point of caring. It's time to make a moment. Let's not make a moment. This shouldn't be a moment. The door opens, and the fizzing in my beer slows. She walks by, the spinning in my head grows. When the door opens, and the fizzing in my beer slows. As she walks by, oh, she walks by, the spinning in my head grows. Watch it go. The door opens, and it slows. Closing sale, everything must go, nothing left behind, no wild oats to sow. It's out of my way, I'm done now, you see. You took the meat, but not my bones. Now throw away your key. One foot out the door, persistent. You are frozen in time. Oh, I love you slips out of my mind. So sail, set sail, a little bird. Just go and set sail. Set sail, set sail, a little bird. Just go and set sail. I'll take my ship away as the storm pulls in. I hope the wind is with me, and I hope you've learned that the pirate within me is sworn to the truth. To live or die by this rule. Something old and something new is the treasure within me. As sad as it seems, you will come to know what it all means to me. Set sail, little bird. Just go and set sail. Set sail, little bird. You just go now and set sail. Some pictures and some memories, ones I can't forget, on the crest of my black heart. You best not forget that the pirate never loses. He always collects one way or another. Now you can clear up all your regrets of the time you set sail with that pirate from the sky. You will remember him until that day that you die. Set sail, little bird. Now come on, just set sail. Set sail, little bird. Now I want you to set sail. Set sail, oh little bird. Now I want you to set sail. Don't forget to lose your mind tonight. Just watch me. Hello. Don't you think about responsibilities. Just feel what you want. Feel what you want tonight. I want you to say how you feel. I want you to tell me I'm no good. We'll send you on your way if you say so. You try to, but you see me staring back at you. I'm staring back at you. So have another dance with me, my dear. Move your hips like this. It's clear I'm what you need. As a tear falls down, I want you to say how you feel. I want you to tell me I'm no good. Well, don't you look back, you will miss me. Don't look back, I'm standing under the street light at night. Don't you look back, try to forget. Yeah. So just walk to me, my dear. Look inside me, and it's clear I'm a better man than him. I'm a better man than him. Then time stops. I want you to say how you feel. I want you to tell me I'm no good. Well, don't you look back, you will miss me. Don't look back, I'm standing under the street light at night. Don't you look back, try to forget. Yeah. So just walk to me, my dear. Look inside me, and it's clear I'm a better man than him. I'm a better man than him. Then time stops. It's the same road as before, and I wonder who I'll see this time. Just to touch the water and swing through the trees. Home is a memory away. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Come to think of it, I've never felt so free. My tunes are a blaring, consuming that mountain breeze. Makes me so grateful to be alive. Home is a memory away. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Please take me home. Come on. Please take me home. Please take me home.
All right, Conrad, rock and roll, man. What up, Ape? Make sure you guys share this stream and drop a like. We will be getting started in 8 minutes. Again, today I will be joined by a Russian citizen and a Ukrainian citizen. We will be engaging in the war of ideas today. I will have an intro to kick things off when we get going on call-in. Please join us on call-in, by the way. You guys can have the YouTube stream and the call-in stream running if you wish. Just make sure you have the YouTube stream muted. And if you are seeing this discussion after the fact, make sure you drop a like on the video and consider subscribing. The call-in platform has allowed us to host conversations like this. I feel like we're okay to stream this one on YouTube today, even though I know the Google did send out a notice on Google AdSense that they will be censoring any kind of, well, at least demonetizing any kind of Russian promotion of the war. So I don't know if we're going to have issues with this video. I hope not. Yeah, please do go share the stream on social media. Hoping to get a good turnout for this discussion today. Drop a like when you guys get into the room. Going to be live in 5 minutes. If you haven't made a call-in account, please do make one. We want you guys to call in. We want to hear your ideas live on the air. I'm so happy to see so many new voices joining us for these discussions. It really does inspire me. For those of you who don't know yet, Penn Jillette will be speaking at his first Pangburn live event, August 9th in Toronto. Tickets will be on sale in 12 days. May 13th, tickets go on sale for Penn Jillette in conversation with Lawrence Krauss. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with Penn. And of course, I mean, Lawrence is one of the greatest minds, interlocutors for someone like Penn. What up, Dan? Make sure you guys drop a like. We're getting started in 5 minutes. I was just talking about the next big live Pangburn discussion that will take place August 9th in Toronto between Penn Jillette and Lawrence Krauss. This will be at the previously named Sony Center, Meridian Hall, downtown Toronto. The Big Top. It's going to be epic. It's a 3,000 seat room. I hope we can, I hope there's enough interest to make it go. This is an event I would really love to see actualize. And I'm quite confident about this one. So we'll see how much I know. All right, I think I'm going to open up the, let's see, start room. I hope I have no glitches today on call-in. Why is it making me pick a new room title? Oh, I got to do this. Oh yeah, I should use my, where's my little picture? It's okay, I have time. There it is. Yep, we'll use that. Now I hope this does not bug out on me, because that would suck. Welcome everyone. Make sure you drop a like. All right, so far so good. Send out my invites. Dan Buckley says Krauss and Penn will be an incredible convo. Oh yeah. They're going to be talking about atheism. They're going to be talking about science, and they're going to be talking about magic, of course. Why are we so fascinated by magic? Why are we so fascinated by having our minds tricked? That's it's going to be a topic of conversation that Krauss and Penn wrestle with on stage August 9th in Toronto. All right. Hello, everybody. I hope I am coming in nice and clear. Let me know in the comment section if you guys can hear me. We're going to be getting started in just a minute. Thank you, Bojangles. Coming in nice and clear. Welcome to Call In, anyone who is new. We are also streaming live on YouTube today. youtube.com/Pangburn. For those of you who didn't know, that was the home of... Bojangles is saying, Jesus, why did it send 4 times? No idea, brother. I'm going to give it 1 minute, and then we will get started here. All right, everyone. Today's topic, a Russian versus a Ukrainian at war. When I speak of the war of ideas, I'm not talking about the war of guns, chemicals, and nukes. I'm talking about the war you play in the playground during recess. The war you play at the dinner table, refuting your crazy aunt's conspiracy theory about lizard people in Congress. The ongoing war of competing cultures and perspectives, ideologically, of course. The never-ending war of ideas. Today is a strange amalgamation of both usages. The war of guns, chemicals, and nukes versus the war of competing cultural ideas and perspectives. Two countries are at war. Russia has invaded the Ukraine, and the Ukraine will not submit. Today, the Pangburn universe will play host to perhaps the most important discussion we could be having. Two households, both alike in dignity. Two brave ideological warriors. Let's take a look at the casualties. This comes to us by Forbes, Forbes.com, Derek Saul. Russia-Ukraine wars mounting death toll. Latest estimates as of April 26th, 2022. British Defense Secretary George Wallace said Monday about 15,000 Russian troops have been killed since Russia invaded Ukraine in February, adding to mounting evidence of the Russian death toll. NATO estimated last month 7,000 to 15,000 Russian troops have died in the invasion, and Ukraine said Monday 21,900 Russian troops have been killed, all far outpacing the 1,351 dead that Russia has reported. Russia's death toll likely outpaces that of Ukrainian military personnel. Ukrainian President Zelensky told CNN last week about 2,500 to 3,000 soldiers have been killed, likely a more reliable figure than the 14,000 Ukrainian troops Russia said it had killed on March 25th. And third-party estimates on Ukrainian troop casualties are not available. However, the losses among Ukrainian civilians are significant, and the United Nations has recorded 2,729 civilian deaths among Ukrainians related to the violence, mostly due to shelling and missile strikes. The UN notes that figure is likely considerably lower than the true civilian death toll, and Ukrainian officials have said thousands of more civilians have died during the invasion. At least 10,000 that's how many civilians have died in heavily besieged southeastern Ukrainian city of Mariupol, according to the city's mayor. Let's see what else we have here. So there's so much to talk about today. Everyone, please drop your comments. Make sure you're hitting that like button during this stream. Demetrius, I'm going to invite you to speak. And we're just waiting on Divine to join us. So, Demetrius, if we would just stay muted until we get Divine in the chat here. Just going to make sure he is with us. I'm just checking in with Divine. How are you today, Demetrius? I'm actually not hearing you. Try muting and unmuting. We'll have lots of patience today to get everything working before we get cracking here. Still not hearing you. You might need to rejoin or check your mic.
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Coming through.
So today is a day of remembering of dead relatives and friends in Ukraine. That's why my friend Andriy couldn't join to our discussion.
Okay. Great. All right. So please. Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing. Let's see. All right. We'll get to you in a minute here, Demrius.
Okay. I'm muting.
Okay. I'm not seeing you. Let's see. Everyone, just hang tight. We're getting connected with Divine Evil here. We are live every day, by the way, guys. Let's see. Now we're looking for Eugene. He's under the name Eugene on here. Oh, there now I see him. Okay, great. We got, let's do a mic test. Divine, are you there? We'll call you Eugene today. You just have to unmute yourself. Let's, oh, there you go.
Hello.
Are you
Can you hear
there,
me?
Divine? Eugene, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Okay. Good.
Okay, good. All right, guys. Okay, Eugene, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? You are currently a Russian citizen living in Russia, correct?
Yes, I live in Moscow. My name is Eugene. I'm 34 years old and I'm Russian designer, freelance designer.
Oh, cool. What kind of design work do you do?
Mostly about like official documents, like white papers, pitch decks, all the presentative materials for the different companies.
Right. Oh, okay. That's interesting. What are what
And
are
I also do some 3D.
Yeah.
So I make low poly models. So
Mm.
a variety of different activities. in that
Cool.
part.
Do you play any sports or anything?
No, I'm like you can call me a geek.
A geek. Well, then you must have like a favorite computer or console game.
Oh shoot, yeah. Like the probably the best of all times is like StarCraft Brood War.
StarCraft Brood War.
From
Oh yeah, I remember.
yeah,
That was a
yeah, it was
StarCraft 1
revolutionary.
expansion, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. And what? And currently, right now, if correct me if I'm wrong, are you part of the Army Reserves?
Well, like yeah, I am limited like viability. So I would be drafted only if there will be need to defend the country.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I'm not legit. I'm not qualified
And do you
by health reasons.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, for health reasons. I see.
Yes.
And do you have friends or family currently fighting in this war?
No, not fighting. Like I have my best friend have a couple of members of his family there in Mariupol.
Oh, okay. And how
But
would you?
otherwise, no.
Yeah, right. And how would you describe the general feeling in Moscow right now? How are people feeling? Are you seeing protests, or are you seeing lots of support for Putin and the goals of the Russian army? We'll try to describe that.
Well, the originally at the day of the and a few days after the initial so-called invasion. Well, you can call it whatever you want, but let's say invasion of Russia into Ukraine. There was a lot of disbelief, a lot of frustration, and a lot. As you know, there were some protests of more younger generation of Russians, less educated, more prone to emotional responses, as I believe. So there was a lot of protest against this operation.
Now, if
but
you
the more
yeah.
time has passed, the more support becomes visible.
If you were to hyper general, oh, okay, so you see the support rising. If you
Yep.
were to hyper generalize, like left wing, right wing, would you say those who were protesting would be mostly on the left wing, or would you say they are kind of right wing? And I don't even know if those terms mean anything to you, but
Well,
yeah.
I have very surface idea, but I would believe they are more left wing protesters about this, so they're more influenced by the liberal ideas.
Okay, well, I'm gonna, if you wouldn't mind muting. Thanks for the introduction. Demrius, Dimitro, could you please unmute and let's get some information about you and your life. You're currently in the
Okay.
Ukraine, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Sorry?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Yes, I am 38 years old. I am IT developer.
Cool. IT developer. What do you do for fun?
I like to drive my quadrocopter.
You're what? Sorry?
Drone.
Oh, it's a drone. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I got
Quadcopter.
my dad one of those for Christmas a few years ago. They're fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you do what do you typically
I like to travel
Oh yeah.
around the Europe mostly.
Yeah. What's your favorite place to visit so far?
Netherlands.
The Netherlands. What's good about the Netherlands? I've always wanted to check it out. What do you like about it?
I was surprised by how smart people are living there. Even the old people are really sane. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like in Ukraine. In Ukraine, if the person is more than 60 years, you can't talk to him or to her. It's just another world.
Right.
And it's not how in Netherlands. In Netherlands, you talk to a guy who is 70 years old and he's still on your side, on your level
Right.
of understanding and of world. You understand me?
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I like a freedom.
Yeah.
I think Netherlands is a very, very free country.
Are you
Very liberal.
Yeah. Are you a fan of democracy?
Yes, I am.
And do you think that most Ukrainians are?
Well, I'm not sure. A
Right.
lot of them, yes, but I'm not sure that it's most.
Mm. And what do you think is the alternative? The competing political idea.
It's something similar to Russian type of.
Right.
So there should be one person that should rule everything and be responsible for everything.
Right. Is there a do, do you currently have any family that are currently fighting this Russian invasion,
No,
or friends? No?
I don't. Some friends, yes.
Yeah. And have you
Yes.
heard from your friends?
No, they are forbidden to talk
Oh,
about what are going on.
okay. Do you trust
So
your government to be delivering you good information, accurate information?
actually, yes.
Yeah.
It looks like they are telling truth.
Yeah. There's been a lot of civilian deaths.
Oh, I believe it's much more than you're talking about.
Right.
I think it's more than 50,000 in Mariupol
Oh,
itself.
wow.
Because it is a city of 500,000 people before, and it was totally blocked for 2 months. So they hadn't water, they hadn't food. So how much people died from starve to death? I had no idea, and no one knows yet.
Right. Yeah, I know as these conflicts are happening, sometimes there can be, strategic reasons not to release the actual numbers or to even infatuate numbers. It's
No, it just no one knows. You can't
yeah.
say how much people starve to death now.
Yeah. Well, the Ukraine has been receiving a lot of, maybe you won't agree that it's a lot, but what do you think of the arms and support that the Ukraine's been receiving from?
It's unprecedented. It's much better than I hoped to
Right.
get.
Would you like to see more?
Sure,
Yeah.
but still, it's already pretty good help, especially United States uh, um, voted for Lend-Lease for Ukraine,
Right.
so it will be much better now.
I want to ask you a question based on where you're at emotionally and morally.
Yes, sure.
Would you like to kill some Russian soldiers?
I think so. Yes.
You would. And
Yes.
what makes you go there? Like, try to talk me
Hmm?
through where you're at emotionally with this.
Can you repeat? Because I have some
Where are you?
connection issues.
Yeah, no worries. Try to explain when you think about civilians being killed, this invasion, everything, and you think about like, oh, you could just kill some Russian troops. What's it like to feel that way? I just can't relate to it. I've never had my country invaded.
It's a very unpleasant thing. I am very peaceful person, and I don't like to feel that the way I feel now.
Right. Well, let's bring Eugene in. Eugene, let's talk about the Russian perspective for a bit, and then we'll do some back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
So, Eugene, what is currently your feeling about what your country is doing? Okay, there was the declaration of war, very surprising that a declaration of war was made by many different countries and people from around the world. That declaration seemed to come very quickly. How do you currently feel about how Russia is acting on the world stage, invading the Ukraine? The Russian troop death toll is getting up there. How do you feel? Are all these deaths worth it? Take me through your general thoughts thus far.
Well, to start, the probably the main thing to realize about the situation is that it is much bigger than just the Ukraine. Like the Ukraine is just like a place of action, but at the same time it's a part of a much grander plan. So basically, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia is it's a like immediate response to a possibility of much worse conflict, and a possibility of much greater losses, which have been prepared for at least 5 years, but maybe more. I don't know when Putin decided to follow this path.
Right. And do you think Putin has made any missteps here, or do you think this has been well thought out, well executed action?
Well, according to some evidence and comments from the internet about the situation, that there was a mistake of expecting much less resistance from near the cities which have been engaged and gone into. So there was a intelligence data that expected much more appreciation for Russian army, but there was a lot of early losses because this information was incorrect. But otherwise, currently, Russia has the strategic advantage because the first targets of the Russian army was communications, radio location, command structure, like higher ups of the army,
right.
the command posts. So for the most part, it is very strategically sophisticated.
Okay.
And it's also careful towards the civilians. Like the Russian army tries to minimize civilians' casualties as much as possible.
Mm. And why, Eugene? Why the war? What is your understanding as to why this is necessary?
Well, it is necessary because the war have not started in the February. The war started 8 years ago when new placed power in the Kiev what is now Kiev was established. This power have basically performed the anti-terrorist operation in the Donbas region, where to this day around 50,000 civilians have been killed.
Yeah.
And that was going on for 8 years without any visible activity from Russia, other than the support with humanitarian goods of Donbas, because the Donbas have been cut off from supplies from Ukraine for all those years.
Have the Russians not during this the Donbass war, have the Russians not backed these separatist groups with arms?
I have not found any evidence for that. I know that there were a lot of like volunteers who joined the cause of protecting Donbass, but like the entire 8 years there was outdated vehicles that Donbass have had at their disposal that they used to protect at their best their territory, but there was no any sophisticated artillery. There was no sophisticated uh, infantry weapons. There was no tanks of the modern tanks. All of like when you probably heard that the pro-Russian media told that Russian appears to be surprisingly under-equipped. You remember, maybe you remember those claims. So
Yep.
those claims are the forces of the Donbas region. Those are not professional Russian army.
Okay. So do you trust Putin?
Trust? I don't know about trust, but I realize that like I understand what he's doing. If whether he will be able to pull this off to the end, I have no idea. But I would really hope so.
Right. You mentioned the necessity of this war to avoid greater casualties. What exactly are you getting at there?
Well, basically, I think it was what was it? Like in the early in March, the Russian army have captured one of the command posts of the Ukrainian army, and they have captured some of the signed documents that have that describe the orders to prepare for the inevitable forced invasion into Donbas by Ukrainian army. This is why there is the current most like sophisticated and great in numbers group of Ukrainian army is near the Donbas, around 100,000 troops. They were preparing to attack Donbas directly without just bombing it. They were expecting to give the order. So it is the Russian invasion have preempted this operation from happening because the casualties would be devastating. Because again, all of those civilians in the Donbas regions are considered terrorists by Ukraine.
Right.
It is officially like designed that like they will not have any pensions, they will not have any support, their children will be sitting in the basements, and this is how we win this war. This is what the President Poroshenko told. This was his designation for the people of Donbass, that they are like Untermensch, basically.
Right. And what do you think of Zelensky, Eugene?
Zelensky is he's popularly, but he was like he's on his post because of the popular popular support from the people, because he's very popular actor for his from his comedian shows and from his series that the what was the servant of the people it's called. So public servant, basically, if easier translation. And but he has no political experience, and most likely he's not in power of the situation. He's probably just he's behind, like between a hammer and a hard place, because he cannot surrender Ukraine to Russia in any way, because he will be killed by his own people as a traitor, and he cannot control the Ukrainian army, because they do not listen to him, because they're guided by the Azov battalions and other nationalist groups.
Mm-hmm.
So they just do not listen to him. There was a video. What was it again? I don't remember. Never mind. There was a video in which Zelensky is trying to find the commander of a specific battle group of Azov battalion, and they just shrugged him off.
Mm.
They do not care about his president's status.
One thing
So there is there is very little that he can do, and what he can do will probably get him killed.
Right. Okay, everyone who's listening, thank you so much for being with us today. Everyone on YouTube, feel free to join us on call-in. You'll see the pinned post. You can join us on call-in. Guys, we are going to be taking calls, so please do get in the caller queue. Hit the little phone icon, and it will put you right into the caller queue. One thing I really want to nail down, it's very important to my mind. Eugene, and it's going to be the same question for you, Dimitro.
Okay.
Eugene, where do you get your information?
I basically serve the YouTube mostly. The most
YouTube?
Okay. Yeah. So this is my primary source, and I just looking for evidence for all sides, all the provocations, all the situations. They always spark a very broad amount of evidence and discussions about the situation, and evidence doesn't make us wait. It just appears over time, and first there is a very strong emotional reaction, and then there is evidence to the contrary, and I just consume a lot of different opinions, a lot of different discussions.
What do you?
I do not I do not watch TV. I do not listen to the radio, and I do not join any specific social media that support one side or the other.
Interesting. Okay. Now, Dimitro, same to you. Where do you get your information?
Internet, for sure. I'm not watching TV. I'm not listening to radio. I read official statements from Ukrainian military.
Yep.
And Facebook pages of the guys I know personally, which somehow involved in this war.
And how do you know that your friends and the Ukrainian military are telling you the truth?
Because they did not contradict each other.
Sorry, can you say that again?
They're not self-contradictory. So I have several sources, and they not contradicted each other.
Oh, okay, good. So you're checking the information, and it sounds like Eugene is doing that as well. I want to ask Eugene another question here, and then we'll take a caller. What do you think, Eugene, of President Biden in the United States, Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister in Canada, sending military aid to the Ukraine? What is this? How do you think? What do you think about this? Do you think this is prolonging this issue, or do you understand why people want to support the Ukraine in this resistance?
Well, you see, like, if they would really want to support Ukrainian people, then they would not send weapons. They would send provisions, they would send medication, they would send, I don't know, money for the people who are suffering. But
Same
otherwise,
for Russia. If Russia would want to help Ukraine, they just need to send medications, money, and other, not their forces to invade the country to
well,
help and save us.
no, it's a broader topic. Like the weapons, by offering Ukrainian weapons, you reinforce their will to fight. Like they feel more confident, but it doesn't mean that they are stronger than Russia. They cannot win, like technically, because they already lost all of their strategic assets, and their most powerful group is being surrounded right now as we speak. It is taken into the cauldron and it will be destroyed. So it's like those weapons, they simply profit the America who produced them and
It's just
NATO.
untrue. Our force is not surrounded. It's not in cauldron.
We'll see.
It's just untrue. And
We'll
I
see.
have another question for you.
Sure.
For this ITS, Security Council of United Nations decided 11 times to send peacekeepers to Donbass, and all 11 times it was blocked by Russia. Why?
What do you mean by peacekeepers, and how were they blocked? Explain to me.
Russia have permission to block any United Nations decisions of Security Council.
Again, you have not answered my question.
What do you mean? Ask again.
I asked you, how can Russia stop peacekeepers from coming? If there is politicians from NATO and from America who come to Ukraine, how can
No,
they
peacekeepers
were
means,
not stopped? We do not stop anyone
Russia
from coming.
voted against peacekeepers in Ukraine. That's what I'm talking about.
Again, what do you consider peacekeepers?
It's like peacekeepers in Cyprus.
Like we, like we had enough of NATO involvement with Ukraine. Like the
But it could
people
be
who
not
trained
NATO.
the
It
Ukrainian
could be
army.
something like China and Sweden, something like this.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I seriously do not understand what do you talking about when you tell me we stop someone from coming. Like we will not allow any direct military interference. It will be a beginning of the World War III. Already, like by the situation, it is already a proxy war of America and Russia using Ukraine, because America invested so much money into Ukraine, into Nazi, into arming them with NATO weaponry.
We don't have any Nazi. It's just
sure. No.
Yes, we don't.
So there are photographs where they portray themselves with Nazi symbol. They speak. They make videos. They're available on YouTube.
Of Russian Nazis symbols.
What?
There are a lot of photos and videos where there are Russian neo-Nazis.
Never seen one. I have never seen one such video.
I will find it for you.
Who is the
very easily.
Who is the Azov regiment?
Yeah, so Azov is it's basically just a paramilitary military organization that have been constructed from the neo-nationally
it's a volunteer infant military.
Well, not volunteer. They was integrated officially into the Ukrainian military, so it's a military force of Ukraine, made up from particularly oriented individuals who have neo-nationalist ideologies, and they like their bases are they have tattoos with Nazi symbols. They photoshoot themselves with smiles and NATO symbolism. They are like modern Nazis, basically.
And they are financed by Russia.
What?
Yes, they are.
What the hell are you
Russia
talking
financing
about?
all neo-Nazis groups in Europe.
What?
Literally.
Okay, well let's table the.
Okay.
We're gonna take a call, guys. We're gonna get
Okay.
hanging Chad in here. Chad, you're make sure you unmute yourself, and you are live with Dimitro and Eugene.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
nice and clear.
Awesome, awesome. So I am super excited here. This is actually a really, really interesting conversation. I do have a couple questions that relate directly to what we were talking about before, talking about both the Azov or the Wagner Group or a couple of the other paramilitary corporations or militia groups that are fighting currently. So to give a little background, you did touch on the topic that Russia had voted to veto any sort of UN military intervention in Donetsk and Luhansk, and that's true for obvious reasons, I think. But I want to ask specifically to both our speakers today, what are your thoughts on the use of paramilitary organizations and militias to fight less of a proxy war, but more of a direct engagement against the opposition country? So for Russia, I know they've used the Chechen militias. The Wagner group specifically were shipped from Central Africa back to the Ukraine. On the Ukrainian side, I know you have every foreign legion that you've been able to, I guess, gather. The Azov battalion itself, I guess, can't be considered a militia because they were folded into the Ukrainian army as a whole. But what are your opinions on that, and what is the temperature like on the ground, I guess?
Should I go first?
Yeah, if Eugene, if you want to give me Russia's side, that'd be great. Yeah, specifically in reference to the Chechen militias and the Wagner group.
Yeah, I don't really against it. It's just it's a matter of how good that group is, and if it's it's a question of power. So the command of the actions of those groups should be always under leadership of the official military of the country. But like again, it's a question of of the effectiveness, how good they are, because for the foreign militia and volunteers in Ukraine, they were hit very badly, and they were basically mismanaged heavily in Ukraine.
Okay, so to continue just a bit off that, what are your thoughts on the apparent assassination attempts by the Wagner Group against Zelensky and other high-ranking Ukrainian, I guess, politicians, along with the Nazi ties, specifically the neo-nationalist groups within Wagner? I'd say they are the Russian version of Azov, as we've seen both in the Central African Republic and in Ukraine currently. Is there any sort of public backlash against that? Is that something that's talked about?
I wouldn't say so. Like, I have not researched the Wagner group per se. I have no context to tell you something about it.
Excellent. Well, yeah, no, thank you a ton. And then, forgive me, I can't, I'm kind of driving right now, so I'm having a hard time reading your name.
Dimitro.
What is your name? Dimitro?
Yeah.
Dimitro,
Awesome.
yeah, right.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on the use of paramilitary organizations and militias like the Azov Battalion or the English Foreign Legion in Ukraine?
Azov, actually, it's a part of military. They are part of our army,
Okay.
and they. So it's just another group.
And are they
So then, is there?
They obey our official.
are they National
government.
Socialists? Are they anti-Semitic, Dimitro?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
So I can jump in here for a second. I think it'd be very hard to dispute from an outside perspective that both specifically the Wagner Group and the Azov Battalion are very similar neo-Nazi confederacies that have committed what would be considered war crimes, whether it be the Azov Battalion executing POWs and then more or less just kind of pillaging certain sections in Luhansk and Donetsk, or the Wagner Group doing the same or worse in other Ukrainian-held sectors. I want to know, is there any, I guess, critical thought into that use? The best thing that you can compare it to in an American context is the use of Blackwater mercenaries. When we, our paramilitary groups have committed war crimes, killing civilians and things like that. I see this again and again become more, I guess, more heavily utilized in every new war or conflict. Is there any critical thought on any news agency or civilian group or any dog whistles that are coming out of any Russian or Ukrainian news sources?
Well, I can only say, like, again, I have to see any evidence of the Wagner Group participating in Ukraine. What were the actions? What the evidence for those actions of actually happening? Because there was a lot of fake news about Ukraine all over this conflict. But like, I have not stumbled upon any such claims about Wagner Group operating in Ukraine and doing something heinous.
I can say that Donbas was not totally occupied by Russians, and Ukrainian part. So Ukrainian part of Donbas wasn't bombed for some reason, and wasn't any civilian killing there. And if we were so against Donbas, then it will be much easier for us to kill people on our territory, not to go into some occupied territory. Right? Does it make sense for you?
Yeah. Hold on, you were cutting out a little bit. Would it be easier for Ukraine to go into Russian territory and fight? What?
No. I mean that we had Donbas people in our territory, on our territory, and we didn't kill them and didn't somehow oppress them. They lived their peaceful life before 2022, before this stage of war.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what do you mean. Like the Donbas, again, like up to 50,000 civilians have been killed by Ukraine in Donbas.
By Russia. Why do you think it's Ukraine? Why so sure it was by Ukraine?
Because the Russia have no reason to bomb
This is very
Donbas.
interesting.
Like there is really no reason. What's the
So
point?
I have a quick question one more time. Yeah, whenever you're ready. Sorry.
To invade Ukraine, it's easy.
No, like Ukraine officially, openly declared the Donbas region, the NDPR, as a terrorist occupied territory, and they sent their army and they bombed it for 8 years.
No.
For no reason.
But
like,
Eugene,
no,
but Eugene, I mean,
what?
Is it? Weren't those regions just taken from the Ukrainians, and weren't the Ukrainians just trying to win those regions back?
Yes.
By who? By the people who live there.
So in 2014 and then 2015, unmarked Russian forces did come in to annex and support both the People's Republic of Donetsk and Luhansk.
Right.
So those two areas were recognized as independent states.
Oh shit, you're
until
breaking up,
just
Chad.
before the,
Oh, you're better now. You're better now.
oh no, rural Missouri. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Both Donetsk and Luhansk were both only recognized as independent states in the days directly before the invasion. So it was originally annexed by Russia. Ukraine then had attempted to regain those territories back, of course, at the detriment to Russian forces. So
You're talking about Crimea?
No, about
yes,
Donbas.
Crimea, Donetsk, and
What?
Luhansk, all three of
No,
which have been
no.
supported by Russia.
All right, go ahead,
show
Eugene.
Show me the evidence by which I can show you the evidence by which Putin have not recognized the independence of the Donbas region, and he told you are part of Ukraine. You have to negotiate. We can send the Russia has sent humanitarian aid to Donbas. That's it.
Yeah.
All the people who are fighting to protect Donbas, they are people from there who are living there.
So, Eugene, I mean, I look at many sources that say that, Russia armed separatist groups that seized government buildings throughout the Donbass.
No,
you don't think that happened?
You do you understand that Donbas is a territory directly on the border with Russia? Of course, they have their own weapons. They have tanks. They have artillery. They have weapons and warehouses with military equipment. They have that. They are not in the center of some country. They are on the border. So, of course, they have means to protect themselves. But these are not Russian weaponry. Russians have much more sophisticated weaponry, tanks, fighters, drones, tactical munitions, which can fire over hundreds of kilometers. The equipment that Donbas region have used to defend themselves is not of Russian origin. It is Ukraine or the Ukraine level of equipment.
No, it's not. They had such weapons that never had Ukrainian.
Such as
the T-14 Armada, a couple different Katyushka, rocket tanks.
No, this is all Soviet weaponry.
Yes, but modifications they had, we never was in Ukraine.
Russia have different tanks. They have different tactical missiles. They have different fighters in the air. They are completely different from Ukraine in the technical way.
There was an Su-35 that was shot down very recently in a couple different air raids. There have been a couple different flanker models that have been captured as well.
Recently,
specifically my favorite, the T-14 Armada, specifically the tank, their new main battle tank was grabbed. But this is interesting, and I do want to ask directly.
I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about the 8 years by which Donbas had tried to protect themselves. They used what they had at hand. I'm not talking about right now. Right now, of course, you're dealing with the professional Russian army. And the Donbas military, the Donbas...
Ukraine stopped to try to regain Donbas in 2015, I believe, or 2017, for sure.
No,
there were no
Putin have
from Ukrainian side from
Putin have an arbiter of the Minsk agreements.
I want to read this.
Party.
I want to read this and see if you agree with this, Eugene. By the end of 2017, the OSCE observatory mission had counted around 30,000 individuals in military gear crossing from Russia to the Donbass at the 2 border checkpoints it was allowed to monitor. The OSCE has also documented many cases of military convoys crossing from Russia into the occupied Donbas on dirt roads away from official border crossings and usually at night. Do you dispute that?
Well, I have to see the evidence. Like
Yeah,
you
because
can,
it seems
the
like
claims are claims. Like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
again, I have.
You know, I'll go. I mean, I'll pull up OSCE, and by the way, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe is the OSCE. This is what they report. So either they are lying because this is their official information, or this, you know, is close to what happened, right?
I don't know.
So
Like
if it's
again,
30,000,
there was
you know,
so much fakes in those years, so much fake information that you have to cross-reference everything and look for evidence. For
sure.
everything.
But I mean, do you, you know, yeah, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of someone like you, Eugene, who's, you know, you might suspect an organization like the OSCE to be biased, but would they really say, you know, 30,000 individuals in military gear? Like, why 30,000? Why would they say 30? Why would they report 30,000?
Like, who cares what the number is? Like, again, you have to find the videos of those observations. If there is no real evidence for this occurrence, then it is good as it never happened.
Okay, but if I find all of the videos and photos, all the evidence, are you going to believe it, or are you going to say we have no way of knowing that that's this actual occasion, right?
Like, if there is evidence for this, I would believe it because, like, it's fact. If there is a fact that you have to that you can date stamp.
Okay, so the
Then
Moscow
sure.
Times says, send 30,000 troops to East Ukraine, separatist commander ask Russia. And this is reported by the Moscow Times. A commander in separatist held Eastern Ukraine has appealed to Moscow to send 30,000 troops and military equipment to aid separatist forces against potential Ukrainian forces. So it looks like they requested this. Russia has issued, or let's see, the Kremlin hasn't yet committed or commented on the appeal. And of course, this is from, by the way, just this is from early 2022. This seems like it was before the declaration. I would like to see Russian military units that can use this weaponry. Western countries accuse Russia of supporting the separatists with troops and equipment, claims Moscow. So Moscow denies that they did do this, according to MoscowTimes.com. They say that Moscow has denied giving this support. And this is information.
Again,
Information's a tough thing here, right? Because
yes,
Moscow
like again,
Times is reporting this, and then you know
says.
and then the organization that we, you know, basically is supposed to be this, you know, organization that just reports about the security and operations that are going on in Europe.
Like, I have to pinpoint something for you. Like in our Pangburn community, you had barely found the free time to pay attention to this situation, but you had once have uploaded you have shared the link for the video report of the Western media talking about bombing in Kramatorsk. Remember?
In what?
Kramatorsk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So with your rocket.
Yeah.
You mean the rocket that hit the apartment building? Was that it?
Rail station. Rail station.
Yeah,
rail okay.
Station.
Yeah.
Yeah. Immediately, the first report from the Western media, Russia hits Kramatorsk. no evidence is given about how they decided.
Ukraine doesn't have such rockets. Just we don't have it. We
You
couldn't
have
do
it.
it. In
This
any,
like
So wait a
Tochka U
sec.
is exactly the weapon.
So
you
wait a
have.
sec, Eugene. Are you claiming that like this was an errand rocket that was shot by the Ukrainians?
No, it was a Tochka U tactical missile that have been fired by Ukraine.
why?
Because
Why we
the-
should do it? What's the reason for us to
in
bomb
order to blame it on Russia, and
Ooh.
in order
And
to
what?
give a political stance to give to force Europe to give Ukraine more weapons,
I
and
mean,
to also to keep people at the site scared to leave the town. Because like the evidence for the fact shows that it was hit by Ukraine, because it was fired from a specific direction based on the place where the rocket thruster have fell. Because the Tochka U is a rocket which has a warhead module and a thruster module, and they separate before they hit the location. And of course, you expect that the thruster of the rocket will fall behind of the location hit. And when you evaluate where the thruster have fallen, the wreckage of the thruster, you can tell that it was fired by Ukraine.
Dimitro, do you believe that the Ukraine fired this missile at themselves as kind of a false flag to, promote more aid? Dimitro, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, do you
It's
believe that the
no,
Ukraine fired this missile at
No,
themselves?
I'm for sure not. I'm sure it was Russian.
Do you think it would be a good strategy, like, if the Ukraine did do that?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Name me a single reason why Russia would do that.
To scare people
Have you heard of
not
the
to leave
tactic of
territory.
Yeah, let's get Dimitro, maybe you could answer that question first, and then we'll get Hanging Chad, and then we'll move on to Lexicon.
Okay, what question?
Eugene was asking, why would Russia just fire that one errant rocket
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
To scare people not to leave the territory. They want to have it like hostages. Territory on eastern part of Ukraine is hostages for Russia to oppress Ukraine, to have better cards on the political discussion.
Eugene, what do you
That
think
makes
about
no
that?
sense.
It doesn't make sense to you?
Really, completely.
Okay, well let's get Hanging Chad. Do you have one more question here, or anything else to add?
Have either of
Yeah,
you heard the
hostages.
term masculine?
Oh, we're losing you, brother. Oh, it looks like we're gonna move on. Sorry, Hanging Chad. We were just getting disconnected there. Let's bring in Lexicon. Lexicon, you're live, man. Not hearing you yet. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, shit. Guess it takes a second after I plug in my mic for it to power up.
No worries.
I unplugged it when I picked it up. Dimitro, I just had a question for you. Going all the way back to the very first few hours of Russia declaring war on the Ukraine. At that time, I was looking at a live stream of a city reacting to the news. It was I think they were actually weather cameras, but it was overlooking the city, and you could see most of the major highways. There was a good 12 or maybe 16-hour delay before anyone tried fleeing the cities. What was the mentality? What was the thought processes of people immediately after hearing you are at war with a neighboring country.
Oh, it was very surprising for us actually, because our government said that everything fine. Putin will not. He's not insane to attack Ukraine, so don't be worried. Everything okay. And then it happened. So everyone was totally, totally lost and didn't know what to do. So we needed some time to get ourselves back, our minds.
So after that initial pause, how long do you think it took for the people in your country to actually start going like everyone knew this is what was happening and everyone was reacting as though this was a serious problem?
Till the
What's
end of
the information
same
lag
day.
between?
It's
the-
like 8
It was
hours.
the same
or so.
day?
Yes.
Okay. That was it. That was all I was curious about. The only thing I wanted to add from the previous conversation I heard was Eugene was right. You should really look into where the tail of that rocket fell, because it couldn't have been fired from Russian forces unless you hypothesize sabotage by Russian infiltrators. That'd be like the only way,
Yes.
just because of where it was
Sure.
launched from.
Yes, they do it. They do it with this to blame Ukraine, especially.
Well, the only thing to add is that also the French reporter on the site have videotaped the wreckage of the thruster, and that thruster have an ID number on it, which traces it back to the Ukraine, specific Ukraine artillery unit, which have had the possession.
Yes,
of the
but it could easily be captured by Russians in Donbass for this 80 years easily to do this provocation.
Why would be in Donbass?
Because they
the ID itself is traced back to the particular Ukrainian artillery military unit, which have received it in its equipment, in its inventory.
Wait, I will check.
So you're basically telling me that Russian infiltrators captured the Ukrainian tactical missile and used it against civilians for no reason.
Yes, for the reason to get hostages.
Why would we need hostages?
Because you are terrorists.
What? What?
Yes, Russia is a terrorist state. I'm pretty sure about
Oh
that.
my god.
Eugene,
So,
what do you think
yeah,
about that
okay.
challenge? A lot of, many people around the world think that Russia is engaging in, warmongering, war crimes here, terrorism. What is your response to that charge?
Like again, you need days of sitting and looking at the evidence, of the actual evidence, not the claims, not the ideas, not the emotions. You have to look for the evidence. What is going on? Why it is going on? Who are the big players in the situation? Because again, it's not really about Ukraine. It's about a very long-term changes in the world and how they are happening.
I thought the main justification Putin gave on his declaration of war was to stop the an apparent genocide from continuing or taking place of Russian people within the Donbass region, within the Ukraine. And I don't see any evidence that was happening. What I see is, the separatist groups took a region for themselves. The Ukrainians were fighting this, long ass war, this eight-year war to get it back. I don't see any evidence of genocide. And I know you and I spoke about this a month.
Again, you have to look for the evidence. You have to look for different opinions which
I have,
point to
man. I
specific.
mean, all I can find is like some very sketchy, like Russian websites that cite like some
No.
individuals. Like,
Look on YouTube. Look on YouTube
yeah.
and like be very broad with what you're looking for.
Well, I mean,
Because-
you know me, man. Like, I just care about what's true. I don't have no affiliation to any side of anything. But I mean, you can please do send me everything you got, because I you know, if there is a truth to be unveiled, I want to believe as many true things and as few things as possible. So please do send me any information to help me better understand your position, because as it stands right now, I see no justification for this invasion or the war. That's I mean, that's my current opinion.
Well, like yeah, I would send like I recommend people to like, for example, look at what Scott Ritter, it's an American military and political expert, is telling about this.
What's the name?
He-
Scott who?
Scott Ritter. Double
Oh,
T.
Ritter. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. So he probably will explain the global situation better than anyone. If you want to look at something from the site, from the location itself, I recommend what was his name?
Oh, I
Patrick
remember Ritter. He was the guy saying that Saddam and Iraq did not have weapons of mass destruction, and
Yes.
everyone else was saying that no, they got them. But Ritter was one of the voices saying no, they don't. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I remember Ritter. And what is
And
his position about what's going on in Ukraine?
like you better look for yourself. It's I'm gonna spend all time just explaining his position. He will better speak for himself.
I just
I do
searched
not
his
want you to,
name.
like,
The,
assume-
the first article that pops up says the red pill grifter who became an anti-Ukraine propagandist. Is this
Oh
your
my
guy?
God. Yeah.
I'm just bugging. No, I will take a look at what he has to say.
Yeah, and if you want to look at something from the location itself, from the Donbas region, from the Mariupol, I recommend Patrick Lancaster. Lancaster. So he is an American independent journalist who is has operated on this location since the 2014. Since the coup.
Now, I want to get to Lee's, but I want to ask you, Eugene. I mean, there's all this death, destruction, citizens dying. Is all this worth it?
Well, it would happen one way or the other because
no. Hang on. About that, Eugene,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen if Russia just says, we're going to leave Ukraine alone and all the regions and allow them to deal with their own separatist movements the way that they see fit.
Like again, if you are talking about separatists, they are civilians who are locals. They are people who live there.
But they seized
They
land,
are not
man.
some foreign. That's their land. They own it.
Yeah, they're
locals.
citizens, but
Ukraine has administrative capacity. Ukraine doesn't own this land. It is owned by the people who own it, who bought it, who work on it, who has factories there. It's their land. If they do not recognize their political power as legitimate because it was placed there by military coup and by aggression.
Oh, okay, but I understand that. I understand that some of them have that opinion. But
what opinion?
That the government's illegitimate. I understand that some people have that opinion. Isn't the answer within a democratic republic to start a party and run for office? Not just seize land and expect that the Ukrainian government's just going to allow
Like,
you to do that?
In a democracy, the right way to deal with that situation is to negotiate, right?
Maybe not. I mean, I'm thinking like in Canada, if a bunch of like Canadian separatists decided like, okay, this is now part of our land, this is ours because they're separatists. They don't believe that Justin Trudeau is a legitimate leader or whatever. I want my government to go in and win that fucking land back.
Why do you want to win? Why?
Because that's my land as a Canadian. I don't want to negotiate with these people who are just going to use force to seize a part of my country. I want it back.
You're telling me that their land is yours.
I'm saying that in Canada, all of Canada is our land as Canadians. And if like, let's say Quebec, we had some people that wanted to vote to separate. We've dealt with some of this stuff in Canada. Like Quebec wanted to separate from Canada. If they just there's doing it democratically. Like if there was a vote and the country agreed democratically to do this, then that's fair. But if it's just taken by force, like the Donbass region, it's like, fuck that. I want it back.
Like taken by force from who?
From the Ukrainian people, man.
They are the Ukrainian people. They are the locals.
Yeah, but
all of them are locals. They own this
They're
land.
trying
if
to
you
separate
buy a plot
from
of land, let's say you buy 20 acres of land. It is your land, or it is the land of your country. Who owns this land?
Yeah, Eugene, you can always decide.
You own this land.
No, you actually don't. The land ultimately in a democracy belongs to the country. Your system allows for landowners, but you have to understand that, like, yeah,
you have to understand that your country doesn't own you.
In Russia, Eugene, in Russia, if Moscow, in Russia,
so in Canada, Canada owns you. It owns you. Is that what you're saying?
Canada ultimately it has a military to protect its citizens and its land. So I'm talking on like a meta scale, not like
Chechnya wanted to separate from Russia in 90s years. What's wrong with their separation? Why they wasn't allowed to create own country?
Separate?
Who is that, Dimitro?
Chechnya Republic.
I don't know the situation. I have to again look into it. What was the situation back there with Chechnya? Because Chechnya right now is our ally. I don't know. What are you trying to do?
Well, there was a separatist.
I mean, okay, Trav. If in your country the paramilitary organization by force takes out your government, are you going to pledge allegiance to them?
What paramilitary organization? No paramilitary organization.
I mean, in that situation, it might be cause for war, right?
Yep.
So it depends. If that actually
Donbass have seen that
but is it true?
Their government.
Yeah, I understand they think that, but that's a different thing. Like they might believe that, like doctrine, but when I look at the evidence, it looks like the support is like here. Let me pull up like are we talking about like the Zelensky election?
No, we're talking about Poroshenko.
Right. Poroshenko. So the belief is what about that?
The belief is that the constitutional president of Ukraine have been forcibly pulled out of the country, taken up, and it was occupied by completely like unconstitutional means, and then the government have been established that is not legitimate.
It was taken totally constitutional by Parliament of Ukraine.
Yeah, like
That was
What?
selected.
can you guys
totally
just tell me what election we're
legally.
talking about? 2019?
No,
Which
it was
election?
in 2014.
Oh, 2014. Okay. I'm with you now.
Yep. Like, you are looking at all the wrong evidence. Seriously, I have no idea what to tell you.
So
You're so out of loop with what happened there. It is
so what's
really
the
terrifying.
so the popular vote was won by Petro Poroshenko, right? In 2014.
Yes.
Was that your claim, Eugene?
I don't know if there was any vote at all.
It was
It was 9.8.
it was election.
Like, who do you think got more votes in the election?
Nobody, because there was no other competition.
What? Well, what about this Yulia person or Lyashko? Like, have you not looked into the 2014 election?
Well, it doesn't matter.
do you
Again, it's
mean?
not legitimate. It's not constitutional because you cannot establish a new president when you have an acting president.
But we hadn't.
Like,
Yanukovych flew away to
it
Russia.
doesn't matter if he flew. Like, if he's forced out of his country, it doesn't mean that he's not a president of the Ukraine. There is a legal.
Yes, but our parliament decided that, and
there
our
was
parliament
the parliament
has-
was less than 50%, more than 50% empty at that place, at that occasion.
no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It was
There was
totally
evidence.
legit.
Again, if you look for the evidence, you will see that the parliament had been more than 50% empty for some
Okay,
reason.
let's check it.
So it's
Okay, I'll
not
check it now.
sure. And the like how it's called, председатель.
So initially, Russia
The chairman
opposed.
of the parliament was also not present.
Okay, here's some Russian response to the 2014 election. Initially, Russia opposed rescheduling the election because the Russian government considered the removal of then President Viktor Yanukovych illegal and his temporary successor an illegitimate junta. But on the 7th of May, 2014, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated the election would be a step, quote, in the right direction, but that the vote would decide nothing unless the rights of, quote, all citizens were
I checked.
protected.
Parliament voted with 328 votes of 450 for expelling Yanukovych. So it was totally legit.
Putin appeared to further move away from Russia's initial position by announcing that Russia would respect the outcome of the elections in Ukraine and was ready to work with whoever won the presidency.
Yep.
The U.S. and European Union vowed early May 2014 that they would impose further sanctions against Russia. Sanctions have been in place against Russia since 2014 Crimean crisis if it disputed the election. However, unlike previous sanctions, which were limited to individuals and companies, the third stage is set to target entire sectors of the Russian economy. Earlier, the U.S. and the EU had accused Russia of destabilizing Ukraine by stoking the 2014 pro-Russian rebellion. So why is Russia stoking the pro-Russian rebellion if, you know, Putin's saying we want to things are moving in the right direction And Putin appeared to further move away from Russia's initial position by announcing that Russia would respect the outcome of the elections. So why is Russia stoking the fire in 2014 after it's saying, "Oh no, we're on board with what's going on"?
They said later that they will be okay with that. They have said that when they were threatened with sanctions.
Mm-hmm.
Then they changed their position because it is not in the favor of Russia.
Anyone who wants to
meddle with it.
Anyone who wants to jump in the call, please jump on right now. We're gonna take Lee's next. We're gonna now move to callers, and we will finish up once we're done with callers. So guys, please jump in the caller queue. Remember to subscribe to the Pangburn Hangout. We are a free speech organization. I know a lot of people, parade around claiming that they are for free speech. But I think the proof is in the pudding with what we do. We just had a conversation with practicing National Socialist Nazi Brian Rue last Sunday on here, which was a fascinating discussion. If you guys haven't heard that one yet, it exists here on Call-In. If you're listening on YouTube, come and make a call-in account. I am beyond impressed by this new app and their free speech policies here. So, and I think it's very important for us to be supporting free speech platforms. So please make a call-in account and call in. We're going to take our next caller. Oh, and make sure you follow me, of course. We're going to take Lee's. Lee's, you are on the air. If you're new to the app, you just have to unmute yourself. We lost Lee's. Lee's, come back if you accidentally hit the wrong button. Oh. Let's try Lee's again. Well, I think we had you back. Calling on Lee's. We'll give you a minute. We're gonna make Lee's the next caller. Now you just have to click your icon and unmute yourself. Yay.
Now you listen me?
We got you.
Really?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, nice. I listen you for maybe more than 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
And I am first time with you.
Sorry for taking so long. There's a lot of information to go through, but you're live.
No, it was very interesting.
Let's hear your
nice.
ideas.
I don't know what my ideas, because my ideas was so many ideas when I listened you. It was like a road.
Where are you calling from, Lee's?
I am calling. I don't tell you.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm afraid tell you from where I calling you.
Okay, that's okay. Sure. Okay, go ahead.
First of all, it's my first time. My friend tell me you from Canada.
I am, yes.
Yes, and you take one Russian people and want to talk with Ukrainian people and discuss about it.
Yes, part of the Pangburn brand is bringing competing ideas together and giving a platform for people to engage in good faith, helpful intellectual discourse. And that's what we're doing here today.
I want to know your opinion. What do you think about Putin?
About Vladimir Putin? Well, with regards to this war, I think he is wrong to be doing what he is doing. I think this invasion, this act of war, is based on a conspiracy theory, at least the reasons that he gave in the war declaration of this so-called genocide that's going on in the Ukraine relating to Nazism and different things. I think it's a conspiracy theory that he has sold to the Russians, the Russian people, and many Russian people don't buy it. I think Eugene talked about these. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. You know what I think? Harry Potter in Canada? No, Harry Potter.
Sorry.
Harry Potter. In Canada, no Harry Potter.
Gary Potter?
Yeah, in Canada, Harry Potter.
Gary Potter.
You know Voldemort.
Oh, Harry Potter. Oh, yeah. Voldemort. Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
Listen.
Yep.
Voldemort is dead, but some of his part go to Skrijal? I don't know. To somewhere, yeah? He dead, but his part go to some pieces.
Yes.
Many pieces of Voldemort go to Russian people. Putin like a Voldemort.
Oh, you think Putin's like Voldemort?
If he dead, it's nothing change. Nothing change. He can be dead, but nothing will be changed.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yep.
all Russian people, it's part of the Voldemort of Vladimir Putin. Nothing will be changed if Vladimir Putin dead.
What about the Russian people who are against this war?
Sorry, I'm not from IT, so I am very bad speak English.
Oh, no worries.
What do you mean?
There are some
don't want?
people in Russia who do not want to be in this war. They don't want this war to be happening.
All Russian people don't want this war. Really, they don't want.
Oh, okay.
They want to separate. I am a Russian people, and they are far away somewhere. It's war.
Mm-hmm. And do you and what are your opinions? Do you think Russia is right to have invaded the Ukraine?
What's mean invaded?
To declare war and invade the country, take military action in a country that isn't theirs.
I understand. No, of course no. But if I'm a Russian dictator, I tell my dictator people, go Ukraine. You will have territory. You will have more money. You will have no toilet in the forest. You will have nice civilian toilet. So you have to take more territory. Now Ukrainian will be your territory.
Okay.
So Russian people, they want this war because they want good life. Without this war, they will not have good life. That's why.
Why do they need the
not
war to have a good life? Why can't Russia just focus on building their country and working diplomatically with other nations?
How it's called? When people who not building, not grow the bread, no have a cow, not have a sheep, but they want come in the other territory and take all this for them. Монголо-татарская ига. Как это сказать, я не знаю. Mongolian.
Yeah.
Golden Horde.
Да, подсказывайте, пожалуйста.
Golden Horde it's called.
Oh, okay. Okay, Lise, thank you so much for sharing your ideas. I appreciate it. I'm going to move on to the next.
Sorry for my English.
No worries. You did brilliantly. I understood everything you said. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone, just a reminder, make sure you join our Discord server after every discussion we have here on Call-In or on YouTube. We head over to our Discord server and have a much more open discussion. We'll typically have moderators there, but the discussions are very open, and we have many voice channels that people can drop into, and they aren't recorded, the ones on Discord. So if you're worried about having your voice recorded, on Discord in our off-air voice chats, you can join us for those. If one of our admins would please drop the Discord link in the text chat, that would be great. Okay, guys, here comes the Navekian unit. I don't know where this is going to go. Nivik, how's it going, brother? Nivik, you are on.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
I was just curious. I was just wondering if the argument was that Zelensky's not rightfully duly elected.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Eugene?
He may be again like after you like put the the constitutional president from the government, all the rest is up in the air. But like if
Uh-oh. Oh no.
neo-Nazi sided president who have taken the office exactly like right after the coup, after the Yushchenko have been like expelled.
Oh, okay. So he was a Nazi person, but he wasn't supported by Putin.
Of course, no. Like the situation was that the Yushchenko was allegedly Russian, Russia-aligned president.
No, Yushchenko was pro-Ukrainian.
Yeah, like
Yanukovych was pro-Russian.
I keep mixing them up. Yanukovych, right? Okay, Yanukovych was a pro-Russian president who have blocked the passage for the Ukraine to join NATO, and then there was a protest.
It was when he was blocked passage to European Union, not NATO. It was never. We never talked about joining NATO before this war.
Again, it's just a claim. Okay, never mind. Go on, Nivik.
Yeah. Putin also was mentioning that he didn't want Ukraine joining NATO. That's not really up to him, right? Most people wanted to join NATO if they could.
We never actually.
No, I said Putin said he didn't want Ukraine joining the joining.
Like again, Ukraine.
Before 2014, Ukrainians supported NATO for, I believe, like 30% or so. So it never was an option for Ukraine before the war.
Like there was like dozens of foreign and European experts who have been telling that Ukraine will never join NATO, despite all of the desires of different leaders in Ukraine to join NATO.
The problem with that is that after that invasion, other people wanted to join NATO, neighboring countries of Russia.
They are not Ukraine, because Ukraine is it's
no,
a buffer.
He had an issue with NATO on his border, and I'm saying after that invasion, that encouraged people to more want to join NATO.
That's
like Finland and Sweden.
It's not like Sweden are not Ukraine. Like it doesn't matter. It's not Ukraine. Ukraine is closest to Moscow and other primary cities of Russia. So it.
I see. Okay. You know, you're hitting the nail. This is really a strategic thing.
And like it's
okay. You're admitting something. It's really a strategic issue with Russia. It's a potential threat.
It was a strategic question for Russia since
I get it.
2008.
Because with Ukraine, strategically, it's a potential threat for Russia. And when you said the proximity to the capital, that in itself is a big problem, right? And so Ukraine is a buffer.
Yes. So the Putin since the 2008, Putin have repeatedly said that Ukraine being a neutral, independent
I get
country
it.
is a red line issue for Russia.
I get it. Militarily, militarily it's strategic for Russia's well-being. So Russia is like, well, you know, we want to decide what goes on in Ukraine, but Ukraine is like we're our own country, and
Yes.
Like, Ukraine
Dimitro,
has to be their own country, and we will trade with it, and we will cooperate with it. But it will not join NATO. It must not. Otherwise,
Why
it's
not?
a red line. It's
why
But
not?
because it's a strategic location. It's a weakness for Russia. Like all
wait, you have Lithuania, you have Latvia, Estonia already in NATO, and it's much closer to Moscow than Ukraine.
no, no.
Like, Господи,
No.
you can
Like
check it in the map.
also, if Ukraine is a part of NATO, then Belarus is indefensible. It is impossible to defend because it
Why?
is basically it is
But
cornered
Belarus already
from all
has
sides by NATO.
two NATO neighbors, Poland and
Yeah, but
Lithuania.
Eugene, Russia can't defend itself against NATO anyway.
What do you mean?
Like, if there was, like, do you honestly, what do you think's going to happen if there was ever if World War III broke out?
Then the NATO will fall first because it is the closest to Russia, and it will be first to eliminate all the threat. And then, only then, after that, you say. But for like NATO is the puppet for USA. USA is on the western hemisphere of Earth. All the rest of NATO is basically on the eastern hemisphere, all the Europe and different countries in the Middle East and so on. All of those countries are just puppets for USA.
Yeah, but you
So
understand
for,
that like
projecting proxy influence over the world.
by the way, I'm just saying, like, NATO is not encroaching; it's defensive, and people,
when have NATO defended anything? Give me one example when they have defended anything. They only invade.
they're defending Ukraine.
No, they're not. They're sending weapons so that the war will last longer and more people are getting killed because they are not their people. They don't care about Ukrainians. Like
My point is, NATO members weren't invaded in order for them to be part of NATO, like what Russia is doing with Ukraine.
I know, but it is not a defensive alliance. It's a military alliance that have proposed itself to be a defensive, but they only invaded and intervened into completely unrelated locations that have not invaded them. They have never defended themselves against anyone, really, practically.
Okay.
We
So
do have
going
a lot
off
of
your
callers.
example, Georgia wasn't
Nivik.
a Russia puppet. It wasn't part of NATO, but Russia invaded Georgia.
They're not
Same for Ukraine.
invaded.
Ukraine was neutral state before 2014. Totally truly neutral state, and we was attacked by Russia.
Nivik, do you have any final
Georgia
thoughts?
wasn't a part of
Because
NATO.
I want to move on. We got a lot of
They
callers.
have interfered on behalf of the North Ossetia, who have been threatened to be basically.
No, I'm just saying you're using NATO as an example of meddling in Ukraine to get at Russia, but I'm saying Georgia wasn't that, and Russia invaded Georgia and Crimea.
All right, Nivik, thanks for the call, man.
Do you want me to explain every of those situations, or maybe you should actually look for the different point of view?
Can you guys hear me?
Because again, it's claims and claims and more claims and more claims. I can spend hours looking for all the evidence to show the real picture, the broader picture for you to understand what is going on and why. But you're just making claims as pointing to the particularities which have no relevance to the discussion.
Can you guys hear me? Check, check. Oh, damn it. Eugene, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay, good. Wasn't sure if you guys could hear me. We're gonna move on. We've already had Hanging Chad. Hanging Chad, hang in there, brother. I'm gonna get to you eventually. I'm gonna go to Derek next. Make next caller. There we go. Nivik, I'm gonna put you back down into the listeners. Yeah, thanks. Go ahead, Derek. You're live.
Thanks for having me, Travis.
Yeah, you bet.
And Dimitro and Eugene, thanks for coming. Excellent opportunity to speak to somebody who's actually in this situation. An event here in the United States.
Oh, we're losing you a bit there, Derek.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear?
You're kind of dipping in and out.
Oh boy, I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hearing like a click and then it just like drops out. Here, we'll get you back in, Derek. Maybe do a few tests. We're gonna go to John. John, you're up next. What do you got for us? Waiting on John. John, you are up. If you're new to the app, make sure you unmute yourself. There
hello.
you go. Yep, you're there.
Yeah, I can't talk right now. I'm at a grocery store. I'm ready in like 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just re-queue and I'll get you in 5 minutes. We're going to go to Condor. Condor, you're up.
Hello.
Hey,
you guys hear me?
Yeah.
What's up,
nice
man?
and clear.
How y'all doing? Hey. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I just wanted to say that, in 2014, when this all, started, I mean, it's been going on longer than that, I guess you could say, but, yeah, I remember like I was going through training to go from the Navy to the Marine Corps, and some people I knew went to the same training course, and they got sent to go to Poland, and because of the whole incident. And I mean, just from my perspective, I think that this whole thing, I mean, I think about Aleppo, I think about Syria when Russia was involved in that, and to me, I look at their tactics on the ground in Ukraine. They have old Soviet tactics, which, I mean, they do have superior equipment to the Ukrainians. Eugene was right about that. But their tactics right now, it's just bombing these cities and just destroying them and blowing them to smithereens. And it's like, it doesn't matter who's in there, whereas the U.S. military, we use surgical strikes, we use precise tactics, and we try to reduce civilian casualties, even though they're going to happen. Right. But we're not trying to bomb the trash out of the city. So to me, the argument that, the people in the Donbass were having their rights abridged, it doesn't make sense that Russia would care, like at the Russian hierarchy would care about that, because their combat tactics are just so apathetic to life in general. So I really think this whole thing's a strategic bid. What do you think about that, Eugene?
Well, again, I have a completely different opinion on what or the tactics are being used, because I can see the evidence for, like, I have seen actual videos of how Russians are operating in Donbas region, in the Mariupol.
Eugene, I have seen actual people that return from this part of Ukraine, and I heard what they're talking about.
Well, okay, they can talk about anything. Like, they are not videos from the site. They are not.
Yes, it's a person. It's a real person, real people.
Okay, for everyone, I can find you one who have talked about how Azov battalion literally and deliberately occupy schools, hospitals, like civilian residential buildings, in order to use them as fortifications, with keeping civilians in the buildings, so that Russians will have to use
propaganda. It's Russian propaganda.
No, it's facts.
Yes.
It's facts from the field. from the people who live there, from the people who fight there. Again, you can search for it on YouTube, and you can hear the people who are right now out there talking about what is going on and who
Because they are
is
hostages.
bombing.
They are hostages, and they will tell you everything you want.
No.
Well, I
Just to
think
not be
there's
killed.
propaganda on both sides, guys. I mean, that's just what I see. You know, the Azov. Now, I don't know if it's Azov or not, but there are, you know, Ukrainian militia members that have treated people rather oddly, and it's on video, and I've seen it. Whereas also the Russians have done the same thing on the other side. I mean, by virtue of their military tactics, it's level the city and then go in and clean up the rest to reduce your casualties and conserve your manpower.
Well, again, like when you describe this method of operandum, to me, the first thing that comes to mind is USA working in Iraq, where they just basically carpet bomb the city, where they have intelligence about terrorists or someone else being housed there, and then you march into the completely devastated town with tanks and just clean up. So I don't know what you can tell me about this, because again, it is all evidence based. What happens with towns in Iraq, in Syria? Again, the Russians have no reason to kill any civilians. They have a direct order from Putin that have been made publicly to minimize civilians, to to treat any people who surrender with dignity. And again, all the evidence shows that Russians treat everyone who do not fight them with dignity, including civilians. They do not. Again, if it was an actual war, Kiev would be in ruins by now. There would be nobody alive there, because again, it's Russia. It's not Ukraine in military power, but it's a special operation where one of the commands made publicly by Putin is to minimize civilian casualties and to minimize the damage to the infrastructure, which is why the railroads are working, all the highways are working, there is electricity, there's communications, nobody prevents. Zelensky can't speak with anyone. There is no any interference in communication. Like people are free to go whenever they please.
And you, when President of United Nations was in Kiev, you bombed a rocket, shoot a rocket in center of Kiev.
I don't know. Again, you have to give me the evidence that demonstrates that this was Russia.
I will easily do it. I will do it easily.
It was Russia who fired this rocket. Like, give me the evidence that this rocket is Russian.
We don't have such rockets. We don't have caliber rockets. And it was not
again, prove me that this is caliber. Again, like the Russian never tried to invade, like to capture Kiev, because they do not have there is no directive to capture Kiev. Any military operation near Kiev was just to keep the Ukrainian army from reinforcing the eastern group. They are kept in the Kiev, and they're kept near Odessa by the powers from Crimea. So that the rest of the forces
left Kiev region then. Now.
What?
They don't need to say left Kiev region, your forces. Why? They don't need to keep our forces.
Because like if we gonna capture Kiev, then there is no negotiations. There is no way to make peace. Like the city of this size cannot be taken up by the army of the size that Russia has. There is not enough manpower to occupy it. It's not possible, like practically. So they just keep the part of Ukrainian army near Kiev.
Oh, they don't want to keep Ukrainian army near Kiev more.
What? You're breaking up.
So now they don't want to keep Ukrainian army near Kiev because they left.
Well, they left because they need to circle around the main group. They made their role is played, so now they are coming east in order to basically held the back of the big Ukrainian group on the east near the Donbas. So they will encircle them and they will try to negotiate surrender and they will kill the rest. This is what is going on right now.
No, it's not. They can't encircle. They just don't have enough people to encircle this group. Same argument you had for Kiev. Just have not enough army forces to make a circle for this.
No, like yes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, which one's the Russian again? Eugene. I still. I'm not good with
Wake
names.
up.
I'm still not fully clear on what the point of the invasion was. Can you just give me like the simplest, quickest answer that you'd give to a 5-year-old?
Well, the public version is that Russia is doing this in order to stop the hostility towards Donbas region, which it has now considers an independent state. So there was 8 years. The Putin have given.
This is too complicated for me. I need it simpler.
Yeah, God damn it! Like the point is that Donbas region has been basically shelled for 8 years by Ukraine on the border of Russia. In the Donbas, there is a majority Russian population ethnically. So now we're like intervening on their behalf, helping them defend themselves, and that involves basically the entire Ukrainian territory.
Does Russia want to occupy Ukraine?
No.
Do they want to subjugate Ukraine?
No, like at the there is some speculation about this, but there is a possibility that Russia wants to annex a small a land bridge to the Crimea, because at the moment the only connection is through the Crimean bridge, which have been constructed shortly after the annexation.
So Russia,
which is why it's so important to take Mariupol.
How does in How does so it seems to me you just said the purpose of the invasion is to protect some allies in, did you say Mariupol?
Well, like this is speculation, but it is possible that there will be some way, some political or whatever way for Russia to annex a small part of Ukraine, or maybe give it to one of the republics in order to have a control for the land bridge between Russia and Crimea.
So the purpose is to create a bridge.
Yeah, because without that bridge, there is no settled connection between Russia and Crimea.
So
And the way to make any extensive logistics,
right. And
provide
do
water.
you think that the building of a bridge is justification for a war?
No, it's not about the bridge. It's again, it's a much grander scale. It's not about territory at all.
So what's the purpose of it? I don't understand.
It's hard to make it concise. The situation is that there is bad actors in Ukraine politics which interfere with ability to make any friendly connections to stabilize the region. The people who are right now in power and who are controlling the military and the military itself and what it is doing is creating a lot of instability in the region. And there was a conflict expected one way or the other. Was no way to just stop it with negotiations. That chance have waned years ago.
So if
So-
Russia didn't invade Ukraine, what would have happened?
Then the Ukrainian army would march in force into Donbas region and probably would kill anyone or force people to abandon their homes, abandon their territory until the Donbas region is completely empty.
Why didn't Russia just send troops to protect that region, and how does invading Ukraine help them?
Well, because the only way to protect that region is to demilitarize Ukraine, because it is set to fight again. Right now, even though the Russia actively engaging the Ukrainian military in different locations, Ukrainian military is still bombing Donetsk.
If the Ukrainian military it turns out, were not planning to invade that region, would you be against the war?
If we ever not, maybe I would have to consider it.
Maybe.
All the options.
So you're not certain.
Again,
what
the
would
situation
it take?
is much grander than just
How
that.
would what changes would we need to make to the situation for you to be certain that you would be against the invasion?
Well, again, I'm against the invasion in general because again, I used to live in a world where our country does not engage in any grand military action other than maybe Georgia. But again, it was very short, very decisive event and not just something that drags on for months. So, and again, there's I don't know how many thousands of civilians have suffered and how many military personnel have been killed. But again, it's not a situation that there is a way that in some situations there is no other way but to fight back.
So if you were Putin, you wouldn't have invaded?
I would never be Putin is a very complex figure because he was first established in Russia by corrupt elections, forged election, and at first he was very pro-Western. He was very friendly with Europe and NATO, and he was very corrupt, allowed corruption in Russia, stole a lot of money, but over time it seems that he have changed his opinion of the West and decided to go against it because maybe he saw that it would lead Russia nowhere. So he decided to more stand for the interest of Russia, even though it would cost something.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me? Yeah, so this was a question for Eugene, because this was something you said earlier on, like about the West supporting Ukraine, and you're saying that they are like actively in support of the war because they are sending Ukraine weapons as opposed to medicine and bandages and other supplies like that. But I'm just thinking, what would you have the West send Ukraine in order to defend themselves? Because it seems to me that you're saying that we should just let Russia bomb Ukraine, and then we should send bandages and medicine after their cities have been bombed to pieces. I mean, so that doesn't really make any sense to me. So could you like elaborate on what you were thinking there?
Well, like again, I would first of all, I would strongly advocate for negotiations to be made, because like it has to be stopped as soon as possible. There is no room for just saying nah and keeping it happening. And again, weapons, they do not really help. Like if the entire military of Ukraine just surrenders, then everything is over. The war is over. All the people, all the neo-Nazis that Russia are going against will be persecuted and charged for the crimes against humanity in the Donbas, and everyone who was not who have not been active in that region would be just sent home, and that's it. The entire thing will end. And
Okay, but I
Russia is
mean,
not, again, Russia is not interested in the territory the same way it was not interested in the territory of Georgia.
okay, I mean, I understand that's your narrative, but I'm sure you understand that that's not the understanding of the West and Ukraine. I mean, they basically see Russia as the Nazis in this case, who are
Well,
starting World War III by attacking Ukraine.
there was no the more grander circle jerking of like false narrative and fake news and like like some like there is no more lies before this moment between Ukraine and the West. The West is peddling completely obnoxious, like obnoxious picture. It's not. It has very little to back it up. It just claims upon claims upon claims. Everything, the provocation happens, something happens in Ukraine, Russia is blamed immediately. No evidence is given. Nothing is told. Just Russia did that, Russia did that, and Russia did that, and Russia did that, and then you wait for a week or two, and then you have the evidence, and the evidence shows that Russia has nothing to do with it. Yeah, and that this is going on for the entire conflict. Again, if you only look for information in the official news media, you will be zombified to believe that Russia have invaded Ukraine without any reason, that it kills everyone, that it bombs everything, that Ukrainians are heroes, and that Zelensky needs help, and that we have to forget everything that happens in the world, or all the different crises, all the different problems. We have to help Ukraine, even though, like most of for example, in US, I bet more than half the people do not know where the Ukraine is. They just feel for the people who are dying. But
Okay, I understand that's. I just have one short question then, and this is might be a bit controversial, or I mean, at least it's definitely in Sweden where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it is a problem the fact that this situation is very polarized, and most of the people I know in Sweden are basically on the point where if you read anything that is coming from Russia, then you're pretty much an idiot. Like just reading anything that comes from Russia. So it's extremely polarized in that sense. So the controversial question I have, and this is something I know you talked about a bit before, but so what like sources would you recommend? I know you talked about some YouTube individuals who are on YouTube, and I will check them out as well. But I'm just thinking, do you have any like official source or any official organization that you would recommend to give like your version of the narrative that you think is credible?
Like I'm not really how to align with official, because official is usually like they are working on the narrative that is set for them from the government. Like you have to find in the independent sources, you have to find sources from all the different countries. I do not look for sources in Russia. I do not look for the sources in Ukraine, because like if you see in one video, you've seen them all. You have like anytime you try to find something at least neutral, at least the situation where there is a question in the air, what have happened, what is going on, you will not find this in the official media. Like for example, I don't know what to make an example for. Like there is a god damn it, I will have to browse my history to find. But either way, like your best guess is individuals, because individuals are more prone to question what happens, and they provide you the evidence because they accumulate the evidence, and you are free to like to agree or disagree. This is your right always, but you have to avoid the cases in which the claim is made and no evidence is provided. This is that is not what you should look for, and official sites usually do not offer the unbiased opinion.
All right. Yeah, thanks.
Hi everyone. Hello, Eugene. Travis. My question is regarding Russia. Does it have rightful claims? And I'm looking at when Catherine the Great annexed Ukraine, and it was called Kiev Rus. Does it have historical claims over the Ukraine? Hello. Does
Hello.
Russia have historical claims and a right over Ukraine?
Well, the Ukraine was prior the Polish. If I'm not wrong, it was a Polish territory that was later captured by Russian Empire or something like that. I don't know. Like
No.
I'm not historically like thorough. I have tried to look into the history to understand the more broad like more broader context for what is going on, like because this history of West versus Russia is going on since the World War II basically, but I have never went back further than that.
And basically, Dimitro, for example, do you guys, I mean, whoever wants to answer, do you think it would have been better off if Zelensky would have just quit, surrender, and not allow Russia to advance and just give in the demands? Because the reason I ask is I'm not saying he should have been chicken, he should have been a coward. No, what I'm saying is at the end of the day, long after the war, and as there's some kind of peace treaty, he's going to give them what Russia wants. So whether it ends in May 9th or it ends way after that, sometime this year, you know, Zelensky's going to have to give him. He's most likely going to flee the country, and the guy's a millionaire, from what I know. So I don't think he's going to want to be there when the Russians are there. So my question is, wouldn't he been better off to just say, "Here, if you want the document, take it, but don't come in"? And he would have saved himself the war, the horde, the destruction, the evil. Would have been better for the Ukrainians.
Yeah, I would have to agree that that would be the best course of action, because then there is a possibility for further negotiations with Crimea, with Donbass. There's ample choice of options, of diplomatic options to reconnect, to make friendly relations, to anything, but without any casualties. And
Dimitro,
that's yeah.
Yes, I can answer you. No, it wouldn't be better, because Russia just don't want Ukraine exist as state. So it just will be. Sure, wait. Now, do you hear me? Okay, so it's not. It wouldn't be better because it just postponed the war afterwards. Because Putin just don't want Ukraine exist as a sovereign state. It's to be to exist from the world. It want to be.
And the reason, whoever wants to answer, but the reason I ask is because somebody said even if it takes part of Ukraine, what makes you think that it won't take the whole of Ukraine? Because Russia has a lot to gain. Ukraine has a lot of natural resources, and it has access to the Black Sea. That's why Finland and Sweden and NATO members, they're scared, because if it takes part of that, the ocean side, right, access to the Black Sea that other countries can't, it's going to be bad. Eugene, would you like to answer that?
Well, again, it's a matter of geopolitical actions and politics, because Putin have openly said publicly that he wants Ukraine to be neutral for 4 years, for 25 years maybe. He said that Ukraine, the USSR, upon its dissolution, declared Ukraine an independent country, and the Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Russia doesn't need to Ukraine. Russia is the largest country in the world by area. It has all the it doesn't have people to deal with all the materials and possibilities that it has because of its natural resources. So Ukraine for it is just a mess to deal with. It's more of a hindrance than a benefit. So for all those years, Russia have never interfered in Ukraine's ability to be independent. The problems arise always when Ukraine be independent by being someone else's puppet by joining NATO. This is a problem, and it's a red line. But again, never before that have Russia had any interest in capturing Ukraine. Like there was dealing, there was trade, there was political interactions. Why would we need Ukraine?
Thank you, Eugene, and
No
thank you
problem.
everybody for sharing. Okay, thank you. Hello, do you hear me?
Hello, I got a question. I don't know if you're familiar with the term neoliberalism or not, but some people are saying that the reason why, because you made a comment earlier about how it was that earlier in Vladimir Putin's career as a president, he was corrupt and he helped the corruption of Russia, but somehow he had a change of heart and he turned around. So the term neoliberalism has to do with the markets and the free market and the ability for corporations to go across nations and make a lot of profit. And some people are asking the question. That's what I want to ask you. Do you think that Vladimir Putin is pushing back not only because of his national security, because having missiles parked next door is national security threat, but you think it also has to do with fighting back against neoliberalism? Can you hear? Did you get that question? Whoops, I don't know if you got that question.
Well, it's a question for me.
Yes, yes, please.
Oh, I have no idea. Like, like it has nothing to do with specific political ideologies. Again, it's more about the grand scheme of geopolitical, like dealings mainly between the United States, NATO, and Russia.
Okay,
Because
and
again, Putin have been talking about its interest, its defensive interest with
right,
NATO and against Ukraine, uh, like addition to the NATO bloc
right.
since forever.
Okay, so I get it. I understand. Last question. Can you give an example of how Vladimir Putin had a change of heart from corruption to being a more decent president?
Well, like I have to bet that Putin knew all the sanctions that would come
Right.
as a result of this operation, and he have not done anything to keep the Russian oligarchy from losing billions of dollars of various assets that have been frozen or stolen or taken out in United States and in Europe.
Okay, thanks. Mhm.
Yes. Can you repeat?
Hey, yo, I appreciate it. I won't ask very much. I just want to get an overall climate one more time. Dimitro, do you think there has been any increase in pro-Western sentiment or any talks about Ukraine possibly joining the EU or NATO or any of the other kind of opposition to Russia?
we wanted to join EU, and then Russia attacked us, and now we want also to join NATO to protect ourselves. That's all, basically.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much. Like I said before, I really appreciate the talk. It's been pretty enlightening. And then, yeah, same thing for Eugene. Has this whole conflict bolstered anti-West sentiment? Would it be dangerous if an American or anyone else were to come visit Russia? How does the climate there seem?
Well, like the sentiment is mainly basically anti-West, like the general uh, monopolaric world. Like at the moment, there is a subtle uh, idea that United States is the leader of the world and the world police. They can basically project power wherever they want. They can subdue unruly governments. They can interfere in politics of different countries, and this situation in Ukraine shows that that the all the different votes about the sanctions, who sanctions Russia, who stays neutral, who supports Russia, it all draws a picture of the world where there is two sides, not one side, but two sides. The people who work under the United States and NATO and represent their interest, and another side which is which had enough of the West, the China, the India, all the different countries which have stayed neutral or directly opposed the sanctions. So this situation is much more broader and grander than just Ukraine. You have to research the geopolitical implications of what is going on, because the way, for example, the sanctions that NATO countries have established on Russia are actually hurting Europe very badly. They have very big issues with the economy, especially the countries which have high dependence on Russian resources. And there is a growing dissent in NATO and in their opinion for the sanctions and what is going on and all the discrimination against Russia. It's dehumanization. So we are not expressing any hostility towards people. Where if there is any hostility or expression of like hate, it's about politics, about leaders, about Biden, who is basically like non-existent leader. He's an old fart who barely understands what is going on, what he's saying. The White House have to constantly like ask for forgiveness for his words. Like it, all of this is very, very strange and fun and horrible at the same time.
Interesting, yeah. Well, большое спасибо. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Russian army will be crushed, and Ukraine will regain all their territory, including Crimea. Yes. No, I can't. I tried, but they didn't. I don't fit by my health.
Well, the outcome is hard to predict because there is I have hard time understanding in terms of military action what is the red line for the Zelensky where he has to make some compromise in the interest of the people, because like the odds are highly not in his favor, as the experts and the observers have said. The problem with Ukraine army right now is that it is most of its own means of communication and radio location detection, like intelligence command structure, it's in shambles, and all they have basically is barely, how do you say, very highly basically, like, they have a lot of troops, they have a lot of Western weapons and vehicles, all they have managed to acquire, but it is not going to help them win because they have no coordination, no intelligence on the situation, which is why the only victories you see from Ukraine is local, very specific. Like some tanks have been destroyed from Russia, but you never see them like taking towns back from Russia or making any like organized offensive actions. So it's a matter of time before Russia disarm Ukraine. But it's gonna take a long while because Russia is operating very carefully, and if the townspeople, if the civilians are not allowing them to enter the town, they just go around the town.
Okay, sure. Eugene, do you know what the indicators of fascism regime? There are 14 of them.
No, I don't. I'm not interested in fascism.
Okay,
So.
another question. When Soviet Union entered the World War II,
I don't
date.
remember. It doesn't matter. I remember the things that are important to me.
So you don't know when Soviet Union
No, I cannot tell specifically.
started to fight in World War II. I mean, it's like some very crucial
why
fact
should I care?
about
The dates doesn't matter to me. The dates doesn't matter to me. What actually happened there is more important to me. But dates are like abstract figures.
Okay,
so,
what happened?
Like
What happened then?
Well, the Soviet Union have gathered their Red Army in order to attack the Nazi first. The Nazi have acquired intelligence about it, and they have managed to strike USSR.
No, that's not what happened again after that. First of all, Soviet Union invaded Romania and Baltic states like Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. It was occupied by Soviet Union, and then Nazis strike back and liberated Baltic states, and then
Okay.
Soviet Union strike again. So actually, Soviet Union and Nazi Germany was allies in the start of World War II, and they
Yeah.
made
They had a non-aggression pact.
yes, but also they have a parade of Nazis and Soviet forces in Brest in Poland.
I guess. What's your point?
So Soviet Union was aggressive nation.
Maybe. Like, what relevance does it have now? I don't think it does any. Like, I'm not an aggressive person. I would never want to kill anyone. Unlike you, as you stated, I have no desire. Like, I want to hit heavily some people on the West, the politicians who have brought Russia and Ukraine to this situation where like civilians have to die, and I wish you all the well, and that none of the people that you value would suffer anything. Like, I want this war to end as fast as possible, and for Ukraine and Russia to again sometime in a far future to be friends again.
No, I think it will be at least 50 years from now. At least.
Yeah, I guess
Would
so.
be. Yes, sure. Okay, thank you
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Goodbye. Goodbye, all guys. Mhm. Oh, cool. Yes, I am.
Oh, this was exhausting. Seriously. Oh, I was not ready
Really
for that.
funny because I came to the same I came to this basically the same conclusion about this war from the historical perspective and why Russia would be acting this way. And you went about the like actively doing research method by independent sources. So I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, like again, if you are looking at the official sources of Russia, you see the Russian side. If you see the,
I just assume if somebody's bringing me information, it's propaganda, and like you can trust that somebody believes what they're saying, but you need to verify what they're saying. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time.
yeah, and it's like when you express, even if you find some independent source, they're also called propaganda. They're just peddling the like the picture you're disagreeing with. So there is also that. But again, the independent sources, they are more like they live and die by providing evidence. They may be not the source of evidence, they not reporting from the site, but like it's a network of connections between the people who get the evidence and people who report on the evidence. So again, like if you broaden the perspective, if you find a lot of different independent sources, then this entire situation is much grander and more interesting than just war in Ukraine.
Well, it's really amazes me how many people in the West forgot that Putin was pro NATO, like back in 2006, 2005. He was
Yep.
trying to get Russia involved with it.
Yes. And again, after he have been told that he will never join NATO because the entire point of NATO then? Who are they defending against?
Like he tried to join NATO, and then NATO was like, "Fuck you," and he was like, "Oh, well, what about not fuck me and we work together?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, but our position is fuck you."
Yeah.
Like
NATO was founded on the idea that the smaller the European countries need to defend themselves in case USSR will attack them. And when USSR have collapsed, the entire point of the NATO agreement have vanished. There is no enemy to defend against. So what we're going to do now? And the point there was the Warsaw Pact that have been made to oppose NATO. And Gorbachev, one of the presidents of Russia, have pledged with, I think, I don't know what was the president at the time. Never mind. With United States that we will dissolve the Warsaw Pact and we will allow the Germany to reunite, to break the Berlin Wall and unite Germany and allow it to join NATO. Yeah, but NATO will ensure that NATO will not expand further onto the east. That was
and all NATO's done since is expand further into the east.
Yep. And we have, like Russia and different leaders have played along with it until this situation when you basically have Ukraine and Georgia and maybe what was it, and like 3 countries on the border of Russia which are not the part of NATO or something like that. Like you cannot go much further than that to the border of Russia and placing missiles on its borders. Basically, like what else do you expect from Russia? And which is why like Putin have been telling NATO representatives publicly, the Ukraine have to be neutral. It have to be independent. We do not care. We do not need Ukraine. We do not want to conquer. Just let it be neutral, truly neutral, as the like safety, like the buffer between NATO and Russia, and everything will be fine. If that's the case. And NATO said, we will not let Ukraine join. and Ukraine keep trying to tell NATO to join. We want to join. And the last legitimate president of Ukraine, he also wanted to join NATO, but he asked NATO to invest into his country in order to make an economy in the country which can compete with other members of NATO, so that it will be an equal member. And NATO said, no, this is too much money. And after that, the Yanukovych said, no, we will not join NATO. This wasn't about Russia threatening Yanukovych that he must not join NATO, and he changed his mind. It's not about that. It is much deeper. There is a broad geopolitical context for all this situation, which is why this entire conversation, I'm muting myself very frequently over this conversation because I'm laughing, because it is the level of the perspective on the situation, the state of information, being informed of the first few days of the conflict. It's not like there was entire month have passed since the beginning of the war, where people had plenty of time to look over every side, to see evidence for all the different events. And all I hear is people who just joined.
Hello, everybody. I hope I am coming in nice and clear.
Bring some.
Let me know in the comment section if you guys can hear me.
I don't think a single tactician
We're going to be getting
in the US
started
military
in
was
just.
surprised by this action.
Well, there is a lot of people who are not surprised because they see that the West, the NATO, basically pushed Russia to do it, and Russia Putin have not done this before in the 2014 because Russia have not been ready for it. The economy would collapse if it would invade Ukraine in the beginning. So Putin have said, no, you Donbass, you are for yourself. We will provide you the humanitarian aid so that you would not starve, that you will be able to live, basically, because they have been cut from the supplies from Ukraine. But it has no right to help it actively in the military sense.
I've actually not heard that very specific claim. Do you have a resource I could go look at where the Ukraine cut off the Donbass region in that way? Because I've actually not heard that one before.
Well, you have to look for the it's not even. It's hard to imagine not being in this state when the Ukrainian army is bombing you. How you're supposed to get any supplies? No, man. There is good documentary on the Donbass. How it was called? Then I'll have to search for it. Yeah, there is so much different information. I have to make the list, but either way, I have not come here to bring. I will have to give the different points of evidence later because I'm exhausted. I have looked through so much in the past days that
I know. I fair enough. I'm not demanding it right this instant. I was curious because that's just a claim I hadn't heard before from either side or anything about. So I was curious.
Yeah, but again, how do you even by the logic, how would you expect to get any supplies into the territory where people have been basically branded as terrorists.
I mean, it's been done. Humanitarian aid makes it to the middle of Iraq during that war. Like, it's possible. It's a matter
Well,
of
okay,
like I was hoping for like a public like we can't bring supplies in or like something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like for example, like the easiest one is the one that I have